Okay, next consumer resources question. What we've got here is a table which shows the methods of waste disposal in European countries. Blue is landfill, green is recycling, and yellow is incineration. It says, study figure 2 and just describe the variations in the percentage of waste that is recycled in different countries. So we're looking at the recycling, which is the green one here. So we're probably going to just contrast the smallest one with the biggest one. You can see the smallest green bar is here in Portugal, and the biggest green bar is here in the Netherlands. So what I'll be looking to do is to talk about the variation in countries in terms of the Portugal only having perhaps 4%, something like that, 4% recycling, whereas we go down to the Netherlands and we've got a huge amount of waste which is recycled in excess of 60%. Okay, so you'd be looking to actually add those figures in, name the countries, and that gets you the 2 marks. Next question. For a named non-renewable resource, explain why consumption varies from place to place. So for a non-renewable resource there, we'll probably talk about oil, which is the obvious one. Why does consumption vary between countries such as the USA, such as Switzerland, such as Uganda, such as Ghana? What are the factors which make some countries consume a lot of it and other countries not? Well, first of all, let's go with population size. If we've got a big country, inevitably, per capita, they're going to be using a lot more oil. Also, we can then look at wealth levels. So in countries like the USA, in Europe, we drive a lot, we have electricity on all the time, we heat our houses, we air condition our houses. Therefore, development levels cause us to use more resource. So we've got population, we've got wealth at development levels. What about things like supply? In countries like Saudi Arabia, they've got a vast amount of oil, therefore there's no pressure on them using it. It's very, very cheap at source. They haven't got expensive importation costs or anything like that. Therefore, they can use it as much as they like. So we've got demand here, we've got supply here, we've got population here. Perhaps we could then talk about the availability of alternatives. Somewhere like Iceland has free geothermal energy. Therefore, they don't need to use oil because they can heat their homes using the free heat from the magma underground. So just to recap on that, it must be non-renewable. Okay, and then you're looking to explain, which as we know is give reasons why. Consumption varies from place to place. To get all 4 marks, you probably need to put in some named locations, and you need to refer to some of the points I've just discussed there. Okay, last question. This is the 6-marker one. This is quite a tricky one. Explain, which again is obviously those reasons why or how. Renewable resources, now these are the ones we're talking about, such as solar, such as geothermal, ones that are not going to run out. And new technologies might resolve resource shortages. Well, again, because it's a 6-marker, we're going to need case studies in there. And what we're going to be looking at is how can new technologies help us reduce the amount of oil. So first of all, we're going to substitute, because if we've got these free, eco-friendly resources, we won't need to use so much of the fossil fuels. So what can we do to substitute? Well, I'm thinking about things here like the hydrogen highway in the USA, in California, where they have set up hydrogen fueling stations all the way along the highway on the coast of California, so that cars can run on that very clean, very renewable, abundant source of energy, which is hydrogen. Alternatively, we could look at improved electricity transmission. We could talk about new technology, meaning high voltage cables can transmit more power whilst losing less. So perhaps we could then start to transmit power from places like North Africa, where we can have huge solar banks, into Europe. We could look at biofuels. We could look at things like the development of algae biofuels in Brazil and ethanol in Brazil, where they're 80 to 100% reliant on biofuels rather than fossil fuels. And by using that new technology, they're able to resolve the resource shortage because they're no longer relying on those fuels that are going to run out. So in here, we're looking for case studies, we're looking for technology, we're looking for places, and we're looking for specific case studies.